What would happen if suddenly you lost your biggest source of income tomorrow? For Zambia, this reality became a nightmare when the US pulled 50 million United States dollars from the Zambian health budget. This is a wake-up call for all of us, particularly those of us that rely on others for financial support. Today, I would like us to extract 3 powerful lessons that we can learn from Zambia's medical health crisis. But before we get started, I would like you to subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button. It is at the bottom, it is down here. Click subscribe right now, and don't forget to like this video and share it to anyone who's interested in taking a hold of their financial future. Let's understand what's really happened in this medical scandal in Zambia. For decades, the United States has been the major contributor towards Zambia's health budget, contributing about 128 million United States dollars annually towards key medicines for malaria, HIV/AIDS, and tuberculosis. These medicines are critical for Zambians living with these diseases, particularly those vulnerable and poor Zambians who cannot afford to purchase these medications. However, in 2021, the United States government discovered an alarming threat: the theft of donated medicines being sold in over 95% of Zambia's pharmacies. This is according to the US ambassador to Zambia, Mr. Michael Gonzalez.
I am disappointed to share publicly today that since 2021, we've uncovered systematic theft of life-saving medicines and other products that were intended for free for the Zambian public, including ARVs and anti-tuberculosis, anti-malaria treatments. Now, as soon as we discovered this countrywide theft in late 2021, we immediately informed the Zambian government of our findings, and we initiated an across-the-country, on-the-ground assessment of private pharmacies to understand the extent of the issue. From 2021 through late 2023, our buyers visited more than 2,000 pharmacies in every province and district of this country that sell the same types of products that the United States provides for free to Zambia's healthcare system. Shockingly, across these visits, 95% of the pharmacies that were selling the kinds of products that the United States provides were also selling stolen goods.
And despite many discussions and over 33 meetings with senior government officials, nothing was done, allegedly, by the Zambian government to take a hold or control this situation. So after a year of inaction from the Zambian government, the USA decided to pull 50 million United States dollars out of the 128 million funding for the health budget for Zambia, leaving a budget gap of over 1.4 billion Zambian kwachas, money that the Zambian government will have to source elsewhere in 2026. So the 2026 national budget will have a gap of 1.4 billion Zambian kwachas, money that was coming from the USA. What lessons can we learn from this crisis as governments, as corporations, and as individuals? This is what I want us to discuss today. Lesson number 1, accountability keeps the money flowing. When you can't prove that you are managing the money that's been entrusted to you responsibly, the funding eventually walks away. The American ambassador explained it plainly. He said, "The United States can no longer justify to the American taxpayer continuing to provide such massive levels of assistance when the Zambian government will not take the necessary measures to protect this American investment. This applies everywhere, whether you are running a country, a corporation, or managing your own personal finances. If you're managing a country and you depend on donor aid, you need to ensure you've got systems in place to protect this funding. If you're running a corporation, likewise, you need internal controls and systems to ensure that the money is protected. If you're managing your own personal finances, if you don't take care of your money, it will eventually walk away from you. So the fundamental lesson here is we need to be accountable. And accountability here entails installing systems in place to protect the money that is donated to you or that you are making as a person or an individual. Assuming you are a company and you got a loan from a bank, the bank expects you to utilize that money for the purpose that it was given to you. Many small businesses, when they think about getting financing from financial institutions, they normally don't think about the fact that that is a loan that will need to be repaid back. The default rates when it comes to SMEs on repayment of bank loans, even just the government-funded Citizens Economic Empowerment Fund, or CEC, is very low. A lot of SMEs default when it comes to repayment of bank loans. Many think they can actually get away from repaying back a loan. There's a lack of accountability and responsibility. Think about this. Would you continue lending money to a country or a company or an individual, even if it's money coming from your family member, when they've misused this money in the past? It is highly unlikely you would. So the very first lesson that we learn is accountability, being responsible for the money that is entrusted to us or given to us, or even money that we make ourselves. Otherwise, the money will walk away. Lesson number 2, dependency creates financial vulnerabilities. Let me add, financial dependency creates financial vulnerabilities. When you depend on one source of income, whether it's a country, if you look at the statistics and what the US ambassador said, he said for every 3 kwachas that is spent on health in Zambia, 1 kwacha comes from the United States government and it comes from taxpayers in the US. Now, how can a country depend so much on one major donor to finance a very critical aspect of their budget? By building a healthcare system that is solely dependent on one major donor, Zambia has created an existential risk. Now, this principle applies to all of us, not just to Zambia. Think about your job. Is it the only source of income? Think about your business. Are you depending on one major client? Now, this is something I can relate with, and it's something that I'm working on. I have had the tendency of depending on one marketing platform for my sales or for my leads. And it's really affected me financially because I've had challenges with this major marketing platform for my workshops and courses. When this door has closed for me, I've struggled to market my workshops and my courses, and I am feeling it financially. So this is a lesson that really relates to where I am at the moment. Many of us depend on one source of income. It's either one job, we cannot do anything extra to find further income streams. We cannot do side jobs to increase our revenue. It's the job. We wake up in the morning, we go for work, we knock off, we relax, read our newspapers, watch the news, do the same continuously without realizing that we are creating an existential risk for our lives. Because if that source of income dries up, your entire financial system collapses. And think about this also. Depending on one major source of income really makes you dependent on this donor or marketing platform or client such that this client can pull the strings and make you do what they want you to do, because they know without them, your entire financial system collapses. So you don't have financial independence, which is why when we speak about financial independence, as financial experts, we normally talk about diversifying your investment portfolio. Consider investing a little bit in assets, shares, bonds. Consider investing in property. Consider investing in different asset classes. This principle applies even to your income streams. As an individual, consider diversifying your income streams. Yes, you've got your major source of income, my business, your job. Consider adding on others. Investments in property, in shares, extra work. For me, it is about finding other marketing platforms. I challenge you today, if this lesson resonates with you, if you depend on one job, if you depend on one client, if you depend on one marketing platform like I did, start brainstorming from today. Increase your revenue sources or income sources. Don't depend just on one major source. In fact, if you look at out of 100, ensure that no one source of income contributes more than 50% of your revenue. Don't depend on anyone, one source of revenue. Let's move on to the third and final lesson. Financial assistance as implied conditions. Think about this. The United States government has been giving the Zambian government over 128 million United States dollars annually towards HIV, AIDS medications, TB, and malaria. Now, they may not have explicitly told the Zambian government what measures they should put in place to protect this funding so that these medicines are not stolen. But they had implied conditions. They expected the Zambian government to protect these donations. It is only after discovering widespread theft that the US government started asking for deliberate measures to protect their taxpayers' money. But it was implied. So the lesson here is that whenever you get financial assistance, it is implied that you're going to protect this finance. Let's go back to the example of when you get a loan from a financial institution. Oftentimes, the bank will not tell you how to utilize the money they are giving you, or even check on how you are using it. But it is implied that you are going to utilize the money for the purpose for which you had asked that money for. If you had asked money to procure equipment or inventory for your business, it is expected that you are going to procure that equipment and inventory for your business. It is not expected that you are going to buy a Mercedes, a Benz for yourself as the director of this company. It is also expected that you are going to manage this money and make repayments of the loan as agreed. If it is a monthly repayment, if it's a quarterly repayment, the bank expects you to do that. Oftentimes, they will not check on you. Financial assistance comes with implied responsibilities, implied actions to protect that finance. What is the major lesson here? The lesson is you need to understand and honor both the explicit and implicit conditions that are attached to the financing that you are getting, whether it is a bank loan or donor aid. Before I wrap up, here's a bonus lesson. Lesson number 4, the cost of silence and protecting the wrongdoer. Now, you might dispute this, but this is something I've experienced. Zambians have a culture of protecting wrongdoers. Oftentimes, we are scared to expose misappropriation of funds in the jobs that we hold, in the companies that we work. When we see this being done, particularly by our superiors, we are afraid to expose people that misappropriate funds because we feel that if we had to expose them and they lost their jobs, it is going to be on us. Why should I be responsible for that person's loss of employment? And then the family is going to suffer if this person loses their job. I don't want to be the one responsible for this person losing their job, so we don't expose the wrongdoer. That is the culture we've developed. Now, I want you to ask yourself, what is the cost of protecting this wrongdoer? For Zambia, this cost has been over 50 million United States dollars, 1.4 billion in the health budget, money that the Zambian government will have to source elsewhere, money that is going to affect our economic development agenda, because if money is going to be sourced elsewhere, it means one other aspect of the Zambian economy is going to suffer. Perhaps CDF will have to be reduced. What is the impact of reducing CDF so that we can direct this financing towards the health budget? It means that the money that should have gone to constituencies is going to be less, and therefore their development agenda is going to be drawn backwards. That is the cost of us protecting the wrongdoers and being silent when we see misappropriation of funds or theft wherever we work. Remember, the cost of silence is always greater than the cost of speaking up. And I know you might be afraid of losing your job. As a whistleblower, you might not be protected. But think about the cost of keeping silent. For Zambia, it's been 50 million United States dollars. Because I know many people have been seeing this happening and they don't have the courage to speak up because they are afraid of losing their jobs, or they are afraid of exposing the wrongdoer because I don't want to be held accountable, or bakandoa. And we actually relate this to witchcraft. Bakandoa, I don't want to be bewitched. Henceforth, we need to calculate the cost of being silent and protecting the wrongdoers. And we need to have the boldness and courage to speak out. And this is not just happening at the Ministry of Health. This happens everywhere, in associations, companies. Many people stay quiet when they see something wrong. And the bold ones are labeled difficult. Alishopa. Let's change this. Zambia's medical crisis offers many important financial lessons with regards to being financially independent, with regards to being accountable and responsible for the finances that you make, and also planning for your finances and looking at extra sources of income. I don't know what you think and which of these 3 or 4 lessons resonates with you, and what actions you need to start taking going forward. My appeal to you, if you are employed, whether in a corporation, in an association, in a ministry, a government ministry or public institution, or anywhere, and you see misappropriation of funds, be bold, take action, expose the wrongdoer. But most importantly, as an individual, attain financial freedom so that you can have integrity and no one can buy you off. Well, this is all I had to share. I would like to hear your views about this crisis and the lessons that you are drawing. Leave a comment in the comment section below. For those who've subscribed to my channel, a million thank yous to you for subscribing to my channel. For those who haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing to my channel by clicking the subscribe button. It is at the top, it is up here. Click subscribe right now, and don't you forget to smash that like icon and share this video to anybody that cares about their finances, and most importantly, about protecting the financing that we are entrusted with. Thank you so much, and see you next time.